Regina King for Cadillac Escalade.
When people ask, Regina, do you like to compete? I say, bring it on. Those are the moments that drive you to achieve more. And when you win, you keep reaching higher. To me, that's what the Cadillac Escalade represents. It's always evolving in technology, in design, everything. Because success isn't the end, it's just the first step to what comes next.
The 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Never stop arriving.
Business Network is here for you.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat basement, average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
It's the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else.
I'm Alan Ray, and I do this for free.
For millions of years, mankind lived just like the animals. And something happened, which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk.
I'm drowning. You never talk to me. No, I can't breathe now. What are you thinking? We're going nowhere. What are you feeling? We're going nowhere. Why won't you talk to me? You never talk to me. What are you thinking?
Here's your host, Alan Ray, and he does this for free.
It doesn't have to be like this. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking.
It is the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I'm your humble host, Alan Ray, here in behind the humble microphone in humble Gadsden Studios in the humble cornfields of southeastern Michigan. And, I think we're actually experiencing some technical difficulties in the chat room and on the live feed, which I am coming through you live. But we'll see what happens, and hang on to your shorts because it's going to be a fun one. I don't even know what's really going to happen during this show. Hang on, I'll be right back. You know, I don't have to remind you, there's a lot of really weird stuff going on right now. You know, we have the plague, we have riots, lootings, people burning buildings down, murder hornets. And, I was just going through some things today. Really, I've been, things at work. Let me back up a little bit. Things at work have been screwy for me. Of course, I have been thrown into morning shift again after 3 years of working afternoons, where I really have been not waking up to an alarm clock, and kind of sleeping in the mornings, drinking my coffee at my own leisure, reading a little bit, and all of a sudden, all of this COVID-19 happens. And here we are, shoved back into the morning shift. I'm getting back up at 5:30 in the morning. And yeah, exactly. You forgot the brain swelling mosquitoes. Right, Eric. That's exactly. We have everything. We have everything. And it's just going to get worse. I mean, I have other things on the show that you probably are going to freak out about. But right in the middle of all this, I just happened to notice that there was a tweet out yesterday from Palo Tagalogan, who is a scientist. And he says, following the Julian calendar, we are technically in 2012. Now, if that doesn't freak you out, I don't know what will. And if you're too young to really realize what I'm talking about, 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world. We were supposed to be gone by now. I'm so disappointed. Because I was really kind of looking forward to the whole 2012 thing. I was looking forward to, scorched earth and people running and screaming in terror and me eating popcorn with my sunglasses on out in the backyard, enjoying, taking it all in. It didn't happen. I was so disappointed. Well, turns out, according to the latest conspiracy theory, that the worst is yet to come. The bizarre theory is based on the fact that the Gregorian calendar was introduced in 1582. 11 days were lost from the year to better reflect the time it takes Earth to orbit the sun. So while 11 days might not sound like a lot, over 286 years it adds up, with some conspiracy theorists claiming that we should be in 2012 right now. Now, if you look outside your window, judging by what's going on, I would say they're pretty accurate. This feels 2012-ish. Does it not feel like 2012-ish? And believe it or not, just an hour and a half ago, I really had no idea I had some subjects. I had a few things saved. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And then all of a sudden, poof, it's right here in my lap. Happy Friday night, especially all of you in chat. It looks like my show is finally on. Here we go. That's right, Orty. Come on, Mayans. Bring it on. We are not scared of nothing. So anyways, according to the conspiracy theorists, we are in 2012 right now, even though it's 2020. According to the theory, June 21st, 2020 should actually be December 21st, 2012. So really, honestly, we've got a little over a week, and it's supposed to be the end of the world. I really don't have a hard time believing it. And at this point in time, bring it on. NASA, being the party poopers that they are, says the story started with claims that Nibiru, a supposed planet discovered by the Sumerians, is headed towards Earth. This catastrophe was initially predicted for May 2003, but when nothing happened, the doomsday date moved forward to December 2012 and linked to the end of one of the cycles in the ancient Mayan calendar at the winter solstice in 2012. Hence, the predicted doomsday date of December 21st, 2012. Unsurprisingly, the world did not end on December 21st, 2012. If it did, it was a cruel practical joke and nobody told us. NASA explained for any claims of disaster or dramatic changes in 2012. Where's the science? Where's the evidence? You know, guys, NASA, don't be so cocky, all right? It took you still haven't created a heavy rocket that can land on its own by itself, and we've got Elon Musk out there doing this daily. What do they say? He's got like three launches in just a couple of weeks, couple of days. Where are you, NASA? I don't see you. You may not be right. Don't you get an attitude with us. You're just not as smart as you think you are. Anyway, so that led me down this rabbit hole. And, exactly. Mike in chat says, I don't want the world to end until I get my Social Security. I want to get some of my money back that the government stole off me all these years. Amen, brother. But we're not going to do politics tonight. So it got me thinking that, we've got a lot of problems going on. So we're going to have to talk survival a little bit. And of course, I'm a big one on bug out bags. And I still haven't got my my warm bug out bag going. I'm going to try to get my warm weather bug out bag ready to go this week. But given everything that we're going to have to survive, I'm going to ask chat this question. What one frivolous thing would you keep in your bug out bag, even if it meant throwing out an essential? I'll wait for your answers in chat. This should be fun. Again, I'll read it. What one frivolous thing would you keep in your bug out bag, even if it meant throwing out something essential? Let me know, chat. We'll read it off live. So anyways, the world is going to end June 21st. It's inevitable. Here we go. I'm good with it. I'm okay. I've made my peace. Everything's okay. So in the meantime, I guess we're going to have to talk about surviving, some of the things that are going on. Now, Orty says a deck of cards. Let's see. Ron has the perfect one, a slinky. I can't tell you how many things you could use a slinky for. Mike says a beer. Wait, beer's essential. Okay. Yeah. Mike corrected himself. He's going to have to figure out something else. So anyways, so I started thinking about it, watching, just listening to the radio, watching TV, whatever you got to do. It is no secret that a lot of really weird stuff's going on. Civil unrest. We had the COVID, we had the Rona. It didn't kill us all. It took a pretty good chunk of people, and my condolences goes out to anybody who lost friends, family, neighbors, whatever, to this nasty virus. I personally know about 5 people in my department, in my area at work, who passed away from this. They all had underlying medical conditions. We've talked this to death. Now, let's talk about some other things. We have civil unrest going on, and I have been listening to this, and we'll get more onto this later, on a phone app that broadcasts basically your police scanners. Chicago, New York, Boston, all the places where all the crazy stuff is going on. I've been listening to it. Chicago is the craziest part. Chicago's nuts. Man, those people, and I got to hand it to, there was a dispatcher there, and I might have be repeating myself, but that's okay. This dispatcher who was working one of the nights in Chicago, she was a drill sergeant. I mean, she was super good at coordinating everything. And a lot of people don't realize that behind every good police department, there is a really good dispatcher or basically a group of dispatchers keeping them informed, keeping them going. They're the mediators between people who are having problems calling the police station and the police. My sister being one of them, she is a dispatcher up in the northern part of Michigan here. And she's very on board with, keeping the people who she has to get to different places, keeping them under control, keeping them informed, keeping them going. And she's, getting to know her and what she's doing. The dispatchers are important, but it started me down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, what do you do? How can you survive? I don't live in a city. Okay. When I'm in a city, I try to get out as quickly as possible. Now, Chicago is a place that I visit quite frequently. I kind of like Chicago. Downtown Chicago is a cool place. I couldn't live there. Lord, no. The buildings are too tall. You can't see more than a few feet in front of your face, and there's just way too many people. I'm not that people-y of a person, okay? So I started thinking, what do you do if you get yourself caught in one of these situations and you just want to get out? And so I turned to somebody that I've read quite a bit, The Survival Mom. And the survivalmom.com is she's a pretty good survivalist, has a lot of recipes, things like that. And she's got 15 tips for staying safe during times of civil unrest. We got more. What do we got? We got a bottle of good Irish. Yeah, you'll throw out essentials for a bottle of good Irish. Eric, that works. Jameson's, Ron. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. She says, number 1, stay informed. Stay informed of local events and international headlines. You can't afford to ignore what is happening around you. As much as I want to shelter myself into this cornfield and really just tune everything out, you do have to kind of know what's going on. And I'm amazed. I'm personally amazed at the number of people that when you talk about something, they don't have a clue. Now, I don't watch TV. Ladies and gentlemen, I seriously may watch. In fact, I watch less than an hour of TV a week. I just don't watch television. Now, in the fall, when there's college football, that number goes up because I will watch a football game or a hockey game. But I just don't watch TV for TV's sake. There's nothing on it anymore that interests me. And quite honestly, the stuff I like, you can YouTube and just watch exactly what you want and then turn it off. But anyways, you need to stay informed of the things going on around you. If you find out about a rabble-rousing group, you can get on their email lists or follow them on Twitter and Facebook. Now, this is a pretty good idea. As much as we say, oh, you don't want to follow them, it's a good idea. They will usually publicize their activities, giving you a heads up on where not to be. If you've ever taken a defensive shooting class or a self-defense class, they spend 90% of their time teaching you how not to get into a situation where you have to defend yourself, how to stay away from situations, and how to have your head on a swivel where you don't have to be in a situation where you have to defend yourself. Same thing applies to this. When you're informed or when you get on, you know that these people are the people who are the troublemakers that are going to be causing trouble. Get on their websites, look at their Twitter, look at their Facebook, figure out where they're going to be. Stay away from those areas. If you don't get in those areas, you won't have to listen to the rest of this whole thing. The rest of the list is unimportant, but one of these days you're seriously going to end up being in some kind of a situation like this. Civil unrest can break out anytime, anywhere. Number 3, she goes on to say, don't assume that you will be singled out for protection by law enforcement officers. They will almost certainly have their hands full already. Number 4, don't expect sympathy just because you are caught in the middle. Even if your kids are with you, even if you're handicapped, even if you're old, even if whatever, don't expect sympathy. All you have to do is go on social media and look at some of these videos, and that's confirmed. It's definitely confirmed. You watch older people who are in wheelchairs, whatever, because emotions are running high and people think like cattle when emotions run that high. They stampede, they do stupid things. They're liable to attack anything. Anyways, moving on. She says, number 5, blend in if you can until you can get out. If they're wearing face masks, wear a face mask. Pull your shirt up around your face. If they're carrying a sign, well, you find a sign, you carry a sign. Whatever they're chanting, you chant. If they look angry, you look angry. Blend in just long enough to work your way to the edge of the crowd and then leave. These are good ideas. Reaching safety. Number 6. If you are the wrong nationality or race or in the wrong country or whatever, get out quick. Even a peaceful demonstration become violent, and your appearance can and probably will make you a target. Fact, and this is number 7, the larger the group of people, the lower the overall IQ. Of all the people on the planet, I learned this from David Lee Roth from Van Halen back in the early 80s from an interview. And he calls it the crowd IQ. He says you get 30,000, 50,000 people in a concert arena and they have the IQ of stampeding cattle. They just don't think. So they will not be thinking rationally about their actions or possible consequences. They also have the cloak of anonymity. This is a scary combination. The larger the group of people, lower overall IQ. Don't assume that they're going to be rational human beings. They probably won't. Number 8, if you can get out, take cover, hide, but be prepared to defend yourself and your loved ones. If they can see you, or if they can't see you, they can't hurt you. If they can see you, they can hurt you. Number 9, in the middle of a mob. If you find yourself in the middle of a mob, work your way to the outer edges and make your escape. By the way, if you are wearing uncomfortable shoes, you just might want to rethink that as a habit. In other words, be prepared to run. Number 10, do not get caught against a wall or a fence. You'll be trapped and possibly injured or killed. 11, take cover. Stay indoors as long as possible. However, if you hear breaking glass or smell smoke, you can probably assume your location is no longer safe. That's right. And then she goes on, starting in 12, to develop habits now. Get in the habit of everyday carry. That doesn't just mean carry a gun. These items you automatically put in your pockets when you leave the house, along with your keys and wallets, since a purse can easily become lost or stolen. You may have to adjust your wardrobe, but think escape first, defense second. And what does this mean? There's a couple of items for everyday carry to consider. What's related to this topic? About $50 in cash, smaller bills, so it's already broken up. A knife with a larger blade or a tactical pen. If you carry a tactical pen, know how to use it. There are training videos, and you can actually use these training videos to, they've got really good point. I have a tactical pen. Okay. I can also use a rolled up magazine as a pretty formidable weapon. I've been trained to do this stuff. There's a lot of things you can use as weapons that most people don't see as weapons. Your car keys, other things. But anyways, if you're going to carry a knife, make sure your local laws deem that knife legal. Okay. Don't want to see anybody getting in trouble with this. But a tactical pen, they're usually legal. You cannot carry them on planes. Yes, the TSA knows what a tactical pen is. Let's see, industrial strength pepper spray. Although if you or a family member has asthma, this can debilitate you as well as an attacker. A police scanner app, free. Okay. Here's the big one. I have a police scanner app. My police scanner app, I listen to all the time. Go on your apps, whether you have an iPhone, an Android, whatever, get a police scanner app, download it. Keep it handy. A lot of times they're very interesting because if a whole bunch of people all of a sudden start listening to something, you get kind of a notification, and that's a good heads up. But with a police scanner app, you can avoid areas that have problems. I was listening to Chicago go nuts over the riots and the lootings and everything else. And I could picture in my head where a lot of these streets and a lot of these crossroads were that they were talking about. And I'm like, ooh, man, ooh, boy, I know where that is. Okay, these are the areas you avoid. All right, a couple more. Number 14, stay up to date with controversial issues. Do not bury your head in the sand. I'm not going to get political on you. I'm just saying, if you know what the hotspot issues are, you know what the hot button issues are in your home area, these can trigger random violence as well as organized protests, which can become violent. Stay in tune to current events as much as you don't want to, as much as it just bums you out like it does me lately. Do it anyway. And finally, number 15, improve your situational awareness. She recommends a book called Left of Bang for more information and strategies. This means knowing what's going on around you so you can spot danger and move away more quickly. And one of the examples they use in a defensive class is you looked out, you're in a parking lot and you're parked. There's 3 cars in the parking lot. 2 of them are near the doors. You've parked out in the middle of nowhere and you're waiting for somebody to come out after work. Well, all of a sudden you see 2 people and there's nothing else in the parking lot, and they start walking right towards your vehicle. Now, if you're staring down at your phone, you're listening to the radio, you got earphones on and looking off and bebopping around, you don't see them until it's too late. Keep your head on a swivel. That doesn't mean you have to be paranoid. It just means know what's going on around you. It takes practice to develop situational awareness. I honestly, unfortunately, and this is just bad for me, I'm not that great with situational awareness. An atom bomb can go off next to me and I would just not even think about it. I'd be, what was that? What? A bomb went off? Oh, I didn't see it. It's something I have to practice and I'm better and better at it, but not like I should be. So that's from that 15 steps, 15 tips for staying safe during times of civil unrest is from The Survival Mom. Pretty good blog. Look it up. She's got some other good tips out there too. Moving on. So yeah, you got to stay safe. You got to know what's happening around you, and it just gets worse and worse every day. I mean, did you know we have like this huge, meteorite heading toward us right now? We do. I'm not even kidding you. There's a huge deadly meteorite that's going to come close to Earth. Don't freak out. Don't panic because close in these kind of terms is kind of a long way away. The asteroid is about, I don't know, half the size of a city block, and it's going to miss us by a couple of million miles. Don't freak out over it. You're going to be okay. But you never, ever know. The thing might hit us. Because it is 2020. Anything can happen in 2020. So, what else do we got? Have you guys thought of anything good at all that you can put in your bug out bag that's totally frivolous and that you would just like really just toss something else out? I know we've got a bottle of hooch. Okay. I know we've got a slinky. A slinky's a good one. I mean, you could use a slinky for a lot of things. You could probably make a tent out of a slinky and an old bed sheet or something. What a wonderful night. Storms are moving in. I don't know how much longer this thing is going to actually work live, but I'm going to keep going until you lose me, guys. Jeff, who you just heard in the crease, if you're listening to us live, says 2 sets of Dungeons and Dragon dice. Because you just never know if you're lost and you're in a cave that you might run into 2 people who also are bored and would like to play Dungeons and Dragons. I agree. You just never know. Could you use Dungeon and Dragon dice for anything else? I don't know. You may be able to start a fire with them. I'm not sure. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragon person. So believe it or not, we are already almost at the bottom of the hour. When I come back, we're going to talk about the psychological damage, not just the physical damage of people getting sick, but we're going to talk about the psychological damage the last few months of COVID-19 has inflicted on us as human beings. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have fun. Yes, I'm cynical. There's going to be more than just even that. It's Friday night. Let's have a little fun. Take a little break. Go get your refresher drink, get some snacks, pop some popcorn. We'll be back in just a jiffy. Don't go nowhere.
Listen now and don't forget, if you go for that solid jive, you can always keep the dream alive. Palin with Al.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
You know you were dancing to that, right? Even if it was in your head, you know you were doing it. Palin' with Al by the Squirrel Nut Zippers. I stumbled across that song. Somebody sent that to me and says, you got to put that on your show. And I went, yes, I do. Yes, I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed. Those of you who know me, those of you, who follow me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and especially in real life, know that I love my Tim Hortons coffee. I love my Tim Hortons coffee. If you're not from the North, not from this area, Tim Hortons is kind of a Canadian thing, eh? But Their donuts are iffy. Okay, there's much better donuts here in my hometown. Their apple fritters are great. I love those. They've got some pretty good stuff, but their coffee, $2.07 gets you a large coffee with cream. And it's some of my favorite coffee. I don't have a lot of vices in this life, okay? Coffee is one of them. And Tim Hortons coffee is definitely one of them. I love it. And I'm not going to give it up. So I was really disappointed when I stumbled across this article. And this is one for one of our other shows, Cyber Wars. This is one that they can take off on. They really need to. Double tracking. How Tim Hortons knows where you sleep, work, and vacation. And this is from James McLeod, The Guardian. I never would have consciously volunteered my home address, work location, and vacation plans to Tim Hortons, but the company found out anyways. I haven't been singled out for special treatment. For more than a year, the coffee chain has been tracking the movement of customers in exacting detail through its mobile ordering app. Okay, I have that app. If you get Tim Hortons rewards for every so many coffees or so many points, you get a free coffee, you get a free donut, whatever. This app apparently says, I've spent months sifting through my own data, and it's staggering how much the company knows about me. From my home to my office to a Blue Jays game at Rogers Center, even all the way to Morocco, where I traveled on vacation last June, the company's app silently logged my coordinates and relayed them back to its corporate servers. Data privacy concerns have become a mainstream issue in recent years. I mean, we've all been talking about them. Even more so these days with various governments and companies proposing to track the COVID-19 virus technology, and we've discussed that on this show, the tracking that they're doing. But the reality is that companies have been tracking customers for years, and while Restaurant Brands International, Inc., the owner of Tim Hortons, isn't alone in this kind of corporate surveillance, the Tim's app demonstrates how huge amount of intimate data can be collected without the users realizing it's happening at all. Location tracking is partly dictated by user choice and heavily influenced by a phone's operating system, so we don't know exactly how many people are being tracked by the company, but it's fair to say that Tim Hortons is logging the movement of a significant portion of the millions of Canadians who use its app, and Americans, because they got them here too. And in the same way, the company was tracking me. I didn't realize how much until I saw my coordinates in a trove of data that RBI sent to me after I made a request under Canada's Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act last fall. They call that PIPEDA. I'm not going there. According to the data, Tim Hortons had recorded my longitude and latitude coordinates more than 2,700 times in less than 5 months. That's a little excessive, okay? This should scare you. Okay, I read this. I took the Tim Hortons app right off my phone. Tim Hortons Chief Corporate Officer Duncan Fulton said users consent to this kind of tracking when they give app access to the GPS on their phone. Remember that says, I have read all of the conditions, terms and conditions, and I agree to them, and you press on, yeah, whatever. Well, you agreed to have your location tracked 2,700 times in less than 5 months. Unbelievable. If I didn't want the company to track my locations in the background, even hours or days after I last used the app, Fulton said the onus is on me to deny the app such access. Maybe I'll reinstall it on my phone and just turn that off. Within the Tim Hortons app, a frequently asked questions covering privacy issues told customers that it tracks locations only when you have the app open, but it doesn't. It tracks it all the time. Now, keep your head open, because right now, at this point, Google and the state of Arizona are locked in a legal battle, because although Google says, when you turn our location off on our app, we don't track anything. And the state of Arizona got a whole bunch of complaints saying, yes, they do. Even when it's turned off, they're tracking you. They do it several different ways. And this is me having actually talked about this before. They actually can and will and do use third-party apps like the Tim Horton app. If you don't turn the location data off on your Tim Horton app, Google will use that. Third-party apps, they glean that information off of third-party apps, and it goes into the Google machine. You are tracked. My friends, we live in scary times. It's to the point now, if you really want to be alone, leave your phone at home. I think that should just be a saying now. If you really want to be alone, leave your phone at home. Because it's getting to the point now that they have the technology to go through just about anything. And I've spoke before, I don't know if it's been on this phone or other phones or this show or other shows, about having a Faraday bag that I keep my phone in. Because there's just sometimes I don't want to be tracked. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong. It's just none of anybody's business where I go, what I do. That is some scary stuff right there. We live in a time where we literally voluntarily give information away. And a lot of you say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, why are you worried about it? You can't think of it like that. What you have to think of it is, if your information falls into the hands of somebody who wants to do something nefarious, and there are hackers out there who can and will do that, you can be in a lot of trouble just because they can tell everywhere you go, everything you do, your trends. I get up and I take the same way to work every day. And if my Google machine is tracking my same way to work at the same time every single day, and a hacker or somebody who wants to do something less than savory to me gets a hold of that information, they know what I'm going to do. They can tell. Do I make my point clear? Speaking of paranoia, I said we'd get into this, and for the last 20 minutes of the show, I wanted to get into this. And this is serious. The COVID-19 deal. Okay, don't get me wrong. A lot of people think that, a lot of people think it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's real. It's very real. I know it's real. I know people have had it. I know people who have died from it. I know people who have almost died from it and are now back to work. But the problem we're having right now, and it's not just this. Look at the big picture. The protests and the nefarious people breaking into these protests and starting riots and burning buildings down and things like that. It's causing a lot of problems in society. And these problems are starting to take their toll. And what I mean by that is psychological distress has tripled just in the U.S. during just the COVID-19 pandemic. This is from drugs.com. I didn't know there was a place called, or a magazine called drugs.com, but I guess there is. Friday, June 5th, 2020 was the release date on this article. It says COVID-19 is taking a heavy toll on Americans' mental health. This is from a new nationwide survey. Overall, psychological distress more than tripled between 2018 and this spring, from 4% of U.S. adults in 2018 to 14% just this April. Now, Beth McGinty, an associate professor at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in Baltimore, said the findings from a survey of 1,500 adults, which that's kind of a tiny survey. I think it needs more study than that, but it suggests something. It suggests that the need to prepare for a wave of mental illness once the pandemic passes, or even now that it's in full bloom, is necessary. It's especially important to identify mental illness treatments and the needs, and connect to people and with the services they need, with a focus on groups with high psychological distress, including young adults, adults in low-income households, and Hispanics. Now, what we have here is we have a voluntary shutdown of society. This shutdown has caused a lot of monetary problems. A lot of people couldn't afford to be furloughed from work. A lot of people, and I know some of the people, I'm related to some of the people who could not get money from any kind of unemployment, welfare, or whatever right away. It took them weeks, months to get. In the meantime, they're fretting and stewing, wondering if they were going to have a place to live. And this verifies that lower income households who are keenly feeling the impact of the pandemic, distress rose from less than 8% in 2018 to 19% just this year, especially in houses where the yearly income of less than $35,000 existed. Among Americans age 55 and older, psychological distress nearly doubled between 2018 and April, rising from 4% to over 7%. The study suggests that distress experienced during COVID-19 may transfer to longer-term psychiatric disorders requiring clinical care. Now, I have one more thing before I kind of go off about this, and I'm not going to really go off about this, but it's just adding to it, and then I want to discuss this. I found another Medindia.net says a study reveals uncertainty of pandemic can make people feel more paranoid. And of course they start out, during these uncertain times. Oh Lord, I hate that term. In fact, I just want to punch people for saying during these uncertain times. Find a new thing to say, please. Please, can you do that? During sudden appearance of COVID-19 pandemic, people may be more prone to paranoia, warned researchers. When our world changes unexpectedly, we want to blame that volatility on somebody to make sense of it and perhaps neutralize it. Historically, in times of upheaval, such as the Great Fire of ancient Rome in 64 or the 9/11 terrorist attacks, paranoia and conspiratorial thinking increases. The prevailing theory is that paranoia stems from an inability to accurately assess social threats. But the research team hypothesized that paranoia is instead rooted in a more basic learning mechanism that is triggered by uncertainty, even in the absence of social threats. And what they did was they took a group of people with different age groups and they had them play a game where the outcome was fairly predictable. But behind the scenes, they were playing a card game. Behind the scenes, they would secretly change what the best choices were for the outcome. And the types of people that were there, the ones that were naturally paranoid to begin with, became way more paranoid during this game. And the ones who were not paranoid at all, it didn't bother them at all at first until they realized that their predicted outcome was completely off track and they didn't know what was going on. And then they started becoming paranoid just like the other people. So they actually made a related experiment. And the team trained rats, a relatively a social species, to complete a similar task where the best choices of success changed. Some of the rats were administered meth, known to induce paranoia in humans, and they behaved just like paranoid humans. They too anticipated high volatility and relied more on their expectations than learning from the task. The research team then used a mathematical model to compare choices made by rats and humans while performing these similar tasks, and the results from the rats that received the methamphetamine resembled those of humans with paranoia. So, that being said, the big picture, this is wreaking havoc. This whole last 3 or 4 months is wreaking havoc on our mental health as a species, not just in America, probably all over the planet. Throw in civil unrest, and the civil unrest is coming from everywhere. It's really easy to get caught up in paranoia. It's really easy to get caught up in a lot of things where you're thinking that, we're never going to get out of this, that this is not going to pass. Everything has changed. And Eric says the rats have since brought a tiger zoo. You're right, exactly. But I've noticed that. My wife and I noticed it. When things started picking up in Michigan, we started noticing that everything was getting really weird. People are driving erratically, especially the first couple of weeks after things started opening. Businesses starting to open up a little bit. People started traveling a little bit more. And we just noticed that Michigan has just decided that they were just going to change everything from four-way stops to roundabouts. If you don't have roundabouts in your state, thank God every day. If everybody knows how to use a roundabout, roundabouts are actually a pretty good way to keep traffic flowing. Unfortunately, most people in Michigan are confused. Roundabouts totally throw them off. They confuse them. They have no idea what to do. And it's usually bad on any given day, but we have noticed coming home and going to work, my wife and I, that things like roundabouts, things like four-way stops are just throwing people for a loop. Even things like no passing zones. People are just blowing through them and almost causing serious, horrible wrecks. Things are heating up. And you can tell, you can see, if you really keep your head on a swivel, you really look around you, you really notice what's going on, you can tell that the last 3.5, 4 months has really taken its toll on our mental well-being as a species. Given that information, what are you going to do? What can you do? You need to learn ways to calm yourself. You need to really start practicing more of things like meditation, awareness meditation, which awareness meditation is really good. It's really easy to do. It doesn't, you don't have to be Zen and, hum like, you don't have to do any of that stuff. It's basically just letting yourself breathe and realizing what's around you, what's going on. Google it, learn how to do it. Things like Tai Chi, things like running, walking. And one of the things that's got me through this entire last few months is every day, almost every day without fail, my dog takes me for a walk. After dinner, I will either run or we'll walk. And that during these uncertain times, that has really gotten me through a lot of it. That's really, it helps you focus. It helps that I live out in the middle of nowhere. And from my back door, everything still looks normal. Nothing has changed. And really just being out here in the middle of nowhere, you really can't tell that we're in the middle of some really weird, disturbing stuff. So there's that. You need to take care of your mental health like you need to take care of your physical health. Physical well-being, mental well-being, it's all tied together. If you're not working out, at least doing a little bit to get yourself in shape, to keep yourself exercised, especially if you're on a furlough, if you're laid off, if you're locked down or whatever, you have to keep yourself mentally and physically fit. Or you're going to succumb to this paranoia. You're going to succumb to this real weird thing that's going on mentally in the United States, the psychological issues that we have. And speaking of that, and I'm going to leave you with this today. You know that whole, I got to turn the radio down, I don't know where I am thing? There may be some legitimacy to that. Noise disturbs the brain's compass. And this is from medicalexpress.com. Apparently, and I'm not talking about having your radio cranked way up, we'll still probably do that. And Jeff is in the chat saying he's still waiting to buy a half acre from me so he can build a small house. Jeff, I'm telling you, the house right next door to me, looking out over the exact same view I have, is for sale. Come on up. Buy it. They're taking bids right now. Anyway, there was a study, and this is an important study because it has a lot to do with dementia. That is a very important subject to me. My dad, we thought, was suffering from dementia. It turned out he had a pituitary gland tumor. This is earlier in life. He was about a little bit older than the age I am right now, which kind of worries me once in a while. But they really have done a study, and the human brain always fascinates me. It says, from visual stimuli to muscle feedback and signals relayed by the vestibular system, the human brain uses a wide range of sensory inputs to determine position and to guide us through space. In other words, walking around, not tripping over our own feet. An essential part of the necessary information processing happens in the entorhinal cortex. In this area, which is present in both brain hemispheres, there are special neurons that generate a mental map of physical environment. Thus, information on real space is translated into a kind of data format that the brain can process. Now, when you're younger, this is a very quick, very precise process. The older you get, the human navigation system starts having interference. And I'm just going to kind of paraphrase this entire thing because I'm not going to bore you with the whole article. It goes on and on and on. Needless to say, what happens is the older you get, and if you are, succumbing to dementia, they can tell now that there are glitches, outside noises that the receptors in your brain are picking up on that are throwing you off. You know, that whole I've fallen and I can't get out or I can't get up. It's part of this. The human body and its sensory organs are far from perfect. Information processing in the brain is affected by these glitches, and those glitches can be interpreted as noise. It's similar to a radio broadcast where noise can superimpose the actual signal. And this is something that Wolbers, who is actually the guy that did this study, says, with the help of our mathematical model, we were able to unravel the contributions of various sources of error and identify what distorts position tracking the most and what has little effect. Such sources of error have never been investigated at this level of detail. Now, what's this mean? This means that if they can identify these sources of noise that's going on in your brain, and you know, some of the sources were dominant in both younger and older adults, but some of them were prevalent in older adults. And a lot of them were indicative of people who are starting to suffer from dementia. If they can figure out, and Alzheimer's disease is associated with the same part, the entorhinal cortex. It's all connected there. If they can figure out what's causing this noise, this interference in the signals going to your brain that keeps you knowing where you are in space, you know, basically knowing directions and stuff like that, they have a better and better chance of fixing these problems and helping cure things like Alzheimer's, early onset dementia, and things like that. They're unlocking the keys to the brain more and more every day. And it's absolutely phenomenal to watch this happen. I know, nerd alert, right? Nerd alert. But that's okay. We need nerd alerts every once in a while. You got to know this stuff. I'm Alan Ray. This has been I Do This for Free. I'm so glad you tuned in. We're nearing the top of the hour. I just want to throw a few more things out there before I let you go today. I'm watching my numbers go up. I really do appreciate you tuning in live, downloading the podcast, listening to it. I've gotten a little bit of feedback lately, and I've really enjoyed doing this show live. Now, I think if I'm looking at the calendar right, I've got one more episode of this particular show doing live, and then it's back to doing our pre-recorded broadcast. You guys have all been really good. I can't believe I can actually do this live now. I've got enough bandwidth and the internet gods have allowed me enough bandwidth to really do this show, you know, at a live setting. And I plan on doing different things as much as I can, as live as I can. But needless to say, I hope you've learned something today. Keep your head on a swivel. Yes, these are really uncertain times. It seems like they're getting more and more uncertain all the time. You really don't know who to believe. And that leads me to tell you right now, you have to study for yourself. You can't take anything for granted. Those 15 points that I told you about surviving a civil unrest, a lot of that goes for just surviving. Know what's going on around you and know how to react to it. You can't change a lot of things that are happening around you. You can change your reaction to those things. And if you know what to do in situations, you're going to take it a lot easier. You're not going to panic. You're not going to freak out when things hit because your brain will automatically kick into what you need to do, which means you need to train once in a while on what you need to do. Get that summer bug out bag ready, guys. Weather's heating up. We've talked about this before. You know what to do. You know how to get the stuff you need to keep cool, to keep shaded, yada, yada, yada. I'm Alan Ray. This was the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I did this for free.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
And there is something wrong with us. God bless you. God bless America. We'll talk again soon. I am out of here.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support and more. This week, select Emergency and Zarbee's products are buy one, get one 50% off. Visit CVS or CVS.com today. Restrictions apply. See CVS.com/weekly ad for details.
The in-OLED